Relationship struggles, weird behaviors of people abused by narcissists.
This video dives into the intimate relationship troubles that plague survivors of narcissists. It looks at how abuse damages their ability to connect, trust, and healthily attach to new partners. Fear of conflict, triangulation instincts, and insecurities create barriers to intimacy. To learn more about how the identity is distorted for survivors, watch my other video.
Identity distortions, weird behaviors of people abused by narcissists.
And to understand why survivors end up living in fear long after narcissistic abuse, watch this video.
Living in fear, weird behaviors of people abused by narcissists.
Links to both videos are in the description below. Now, let's explore why survivors end up with relationship struggles long after narcissistic abuse.
Conflict avoidance as a behavior of people abused by narcissists.
The dynamics of walking on eggshells around a narcissistic abuser can condition survivors to avoid conflict at all costs. They become phobic of rocking the boat. The narcissist's hair trigger, rage, and vindictiveness punish any perceived disagreement or challenge to their authority. The victim learns quickly that voicing needs leads to consequences. Conflict avoidance becomes a means of survival. This habit continues even when the narcissist is no longer present. Survivors repress their own desires and allow others to dominate them, terrified of stirring up tensions. They will tolerate anything to keep the peace. A woman grew up with a narcissistic brute of a father who raged when challenged. As an adult, she struggles to assert her needs with friends, family, and partners. She represses her own desires and opinions to maintain harmony, terrified of provoking others. Her conflict avoidance stems from survival habits formed in childhood. A man was married to a narcissistic monster who threatened divorce whenever he tried to address issues in their relationship. Now divorced, he tiptoes around asserting his preferences with his new partner, allowing her needs to dominate. He holds resentment inside rather than engaging in healthy debate. Old habits from his marriage keep his fear of conflict alive. To overcome conflict avoidance, survivors must unlearn the belief that their needs are dangerous and unacceptable. They can slowly practice standing up for themselves in low-stakes situations at first. Building trust in relationships where conflict can be safely navigated helps diminish their phobia over time as they relearn the skills of healthy disagreement.
Attachment issues as a behavior of people abused by narcissists.
The betrayal and conditional love shown by narcissists can leave survivors struggling with attachment, either becoming too clingy or avoiding intimacy altogether. The narcissist's intermittent reinforcement and manipulation foster in the victim an inability to rely on receiving care. The survivor responds either by anxiously attaching to any source of validation or avoiding attachment altogether for self-protection. New relationships after the narcissist then become vehicles to replay attachment wounds. The survivor's broken trust proves highly challenging to rebuild. A woman dated a narcissistic parasite who constantly flirted with other women and discarded her without warning. She now latches onto new partners immediately, demanding constant contact and declarations of commitment. Her extreme attachment stems from anxiety over repeated abandonment. A man's narcissistic leech of an ex-wife cheated throughout their marriage. Today, he refuses any emotional intimacy in new relationships, pulling away the minute a woman grows attached. He equates love with inevitable pain. Though yearning for closeness, his attachment issues born of betrayal keep intimacy at bay. With professional help, survivors can identify their attachment patterns and needs. They can build new relationships gradually, communicating their vulnerabilities to emotionally available partners. Maintaining healthy boundaries and modifying runaway thoughts around abandonment or engulfment can help reshape attachment over time.
Addiction issues as a behavior of people abused by narcissists.
The trauma of narcissistic abuse may lead survivors to addiction as a means of coping with unresolved emotions and soothing their psychic pain. Narcissists deny victims healthy outlets for grief and anger. Addictive behaviors provide a temporary sense of control or emotional escape without the skills to process deeper wounds. This dependency can become lifelong even after leaving the narcissist, as substance abuse or addiction is reinforced each time emotions run high. Recovery is difficult without addressing its roots. A woman was abused by her narcissistic boyfriend who gaslighted and degraded her. She copes today through drinking, often alone and in secret. Alcohol provides an escape from her inner turmoil, but brings increasing health and life problems. She hides the extent of her addiction, ashamed of her coping mechanism. Childhood emotional neglect by narcissistic parents drove a man to illegal drug use as a teenager. As an adult, he struggles with relapses whenever he feels emotionally triggered. He completed rehab, but still battles his addiction demon. Drugs became his way of dealing with feelings denied to him in childhood by his narcissistic incubators. To break addiction, survivors must pursue professional treatment, including counseling, to address the underlying trauma, build resilience, and find healthy coping mechanisms. Removing narcissistic influences, joining support groups, and making lifestyle changes all complement recovery. Though difficult, freedom from addiction is possible with time and commitment.
Insecurity and low self-worth as a behavior of people abused by narcissists.
Survivors often struggle with insecurity and chronically low self-worth due to the prolonged degradation they endured from their narcissistic abusers. The narcissist picks apart any accomplishments or positive traits the victim displays in order to keep them in a perpetual state of inadequacy and dependence. Over time, this behavior becomes internalized. After the narcissist is gone, their survivors may continue to operate from a place of damaged self-image and fragile self-esteem, unable to recognize their worth and wholeness. Healing this emotional wound is an ongoing process. A woman's narcissistic succubus of a mother criticized her appearance ruthlessly. Today, she fixates on her perceived physical flaws, repeatedly seeking cosmetic procedures. She isolates herself, convinced she's too ugly to be seen. The chronic insecurity instilled by her vampire of a mother persists. Devalued by his narcissistic witch of a wife for years, a man feels plagued by insecurities. He considers himself the cause of their divorce. Despite friends' reassurances, he sees himself as fundamentally inadequate. Rebuilding the self-worth, destroyed by his banshee of an ex-wife, remains an ongoing struggle. To reclaim their self-worth, survivors must challenge the narcissist's projections and criticisms through affirmations, self-compassion, and surrounding themselves with people who see their strengths. Therapy helps excavate and heal old wounds. Though an uphill battle, with time survivors can liberate their hearts from the prison of insecurity.
Instinct to triangulate as a behavior of people abused by narcissists.
Narcissists frequently triangulate their victims against other people to breed jealousy, insecurity, and competitions for love. As a result, survivors may instinctively triangulate new relationships to recreate their trauma bonding. The narcissist maintains control and trauma bonds by turning people against each other, often pitting two victims against each other. This can condition the survivors to subconsciously replicate similar manipulation tactics as a maladaptive coping mechanism. In new relationships, the survivor may pit people against each other or stoke jealousy to feel bonded to partners the way they did to their narcissistic abuser. Their instinct is to recreate the dysfunctional dynamic that shaped their neural pathways, even if consciously they want healthy relating. A woman unconsciously tried recreating the turbulent push-pull dynamic she had with her narcissistic ex by flirting with other men in front of new boyfriends. Making partners jealous became an addiction flowing from her trauma that felt like love. A man provoked arguments between his friends the way his narcissistic mother would compare siblings critically. He instinctively recreated triangulation dynamics to regain a sense of importance, value, and bonding, even though consciously he wanted to relate differently. Through counseling, survivors can become aware of what motivates their instinct to triangulate. Establishing mutual care, trust, and interdependence in new relationships allows them to relate in healthier ways, focusing on intimacy rather than drama. I hope you found some validation in the shared struggles here and gained insight into healing relationship damage after narcissistic abuse. Please comment with your story to help others recover. If you still battle with unhealthy relationship patterns, don't hesitate to reach out for support and coaching. I want to keep this conversation going to bring narcissistic abuse out of the shadows. Your financial contributions through donations or patronage allow me to create empowering resources to spread awareness and uplift survivors' voices. Don't forget to subscribe and press thanks if these videos have eased your isolation. Your generosity makes it possible for us to unite and rediscover healthy relating after narcissistic abuse severed our connections for too long. If you feel you urgently need to speak with a counselor to begin recovering from narcissistic conditioning, you can message me on WhatsApp and I'll schedule an initial session within 24 hours. I believe in you and this community's resilience. Together, we can heal from narcissistic betrayal and write new relationship stories full of trust, care, and intimacy.